안녕! Hi, I'm Billy, and in this video series we'll be learning how to read and write Hangul. Hangul is the word for the Korean alphabet. Now you might be afraid to learn Hangul or think that it's too difficult, because at first glance it might just look like a bunch of circles and sticks, kind of like an alien language. But once you learn the basics of how it works, Hangul is really simple to learn. You can actually learn how to read and write it in just a few hours with some practice. I should also note that although it might be tempting to just write Korean using the English alphabet instead of learning Hangul, doing this will really hurt your progress in the language as soon as you begin learning any grammar. So learn Hangul now, and you'll thank me later. Hangul is unique because unlike other writing systems, it was created fairly recently, in the mid-1400s by the king at the time, who was named Sejong. Before Hangul was created, the majority of Koreans simply could not read or write their own language. So people who were wealthy and educated at the time would instead read and write using the Chinese language, because the Korean language didn't have a writing system. Fortunately for us, Hangul is an alphabet, just like English uses an alphabet. So you won't have to memorize thousands of characters like you would if you wanted to read and write Chinese or Japanese. Instead, there are just 24 unique letters that you'll need to know in order to read and write any sound that you want using Hangul. So let's get started learning our first few letters. Here's our first letter, and it's a consonant. What is a consonant? Hangul, just like the English alphabet, is made up of consonants and vowels. Now vowels are the letters A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes Y, as you probably learned in school, and consonants are just every other letter that's not a vowel. In order to make a sound, or a syllable in Korean, we'll need at least one consonant and one vowel together. To write this letter, start from the top left and draw it all in one stroke, going to the right and then downward. You can pause the video to practice writing it yourself. Writing these letters in the correct order is very important, because some letters can actually appear to be different letters if their stroke order is done incorrectly. You'll see examples of this later, but for now focus on learning the correct stroke order with each new letter, and it'll save you a lot of time later on. This letter is pronounced similar to a K or a G in English. It's not a strong K sound like in the word kite, but it's also not a strong G sound like in the word great. It's between a K and a G and a bit softer. Now, since this is just a consonant by itself, it doesn't have a sound. So in order to give it a sound, we'll first need to add a vowel. Let's go ahead and learn our first vowel, and then we'll come back to this letter to hear what it sounds like. Here's our second letter, and it's a vowel. To draw it, start at the top and draw a single line down. Then, draw a second, shorter line to the right. Practice writing this on your own a few times. This letter is pronounced ah. Ah. Such as in the words law or car in American English. Now that we have a vowel, we can give our first consonant a sound. So let's put them together and create our first syllable. In Korean, syllables are written arranged into blocks. This is the first type of block that we'll be using. C stands for consonant and V stands for vowel. And there are 6 types of blocks that we'll use depending on which vowels we use and how many letters. We'll talk about when to use other block types as we learn more letters, and once we've learned all 24 letters, you'll already know which blocks to use. Since we've only covered one consonant and one vowel so far, we can put the two of them together in this order to make our first sound. And here it is. Just like in English, if we take our K or G sound and attach an ah sound, we get the sound ka. Ka. Notice how it's not ka and it's not ga, but it's ka. This sound is between a K and a G in English. Practice it on your own. Ka. Ka. And one more time. Ka. Here's our next letter, which is another consonant. To draw it, start at the top and draw it all in one stroke, going down and to the right. Practice writing it on your own. This letter is similar to N, such as in the word now in English. If we combine it with our vowel, ah, we can hear that this letter would become na. Na. And one more time. Na. Here's another consonant. It's drawn in two pieces. First, draw a horizontal line going from left to right. Then, draw a second line from the left of the first line, and in one stroke, go down and to the right. Practice writing it on your own. This letter is similar to a T or a D sound in English, but it's not a hard T sound like in the word time, and it's not a hard D sound like in the word dog. It's between T and D, and is a bit softer. We can combine this consonant with our vowel ah and hear it sound directly. Ta. Ta. And once more. Ta. You can already see how it could be difficult to read and write hangul using English letters, because already 2 of our 4 letters can't even be written correctly using English. Let's do a bit of practice. Try reading the following sounds on your own without looking at your notes. You can pause the video here. Here are the answers. Ka, na, ta. And again. Ka, na, ta. Practice these sounds on your own, writing each letter individually, writing them together, and then sounding them out. The key to learning hangul quickly is practicing it as much as possible. In the next lesson, we'll cover more consonants and vowels, and we'll learn another important syllable block. And I upload new videos to this channel every week, so click subscribe and follow along. 그럼 다음에 또 봐. 안녕, and welcome to the second part in this lesson. In the last part, we introduced the basics of hangul and learned our first 3 consonants and our first vowel. We also covered our first syllable block. In this video, we'll learn 5 more consonants and a vowel, as well as another syllable block that we can use. At the end, we'll review them in a practice section. So let's get started learning our next 6 letters. Here's our next letter, which is a consonant. To draw it, start at the top left and draw a line down. Then, going back to the top left, draw one stroke that goes to the right and then down. Finally, make one more horizontal line from the bottom left to the bottom right. Avoid the temptation to draw this using only one line, or it might be mistaken for another letter that we'll be learning about later. Practice writing this on your own a few times. This letter is similar to M, such as in the word mom in English. If we combine it with our vowel ah, we can hear that this letter would become ma, ma. And one more time, ma. Here's another consonant. To draw it, start at the top left and draw a line down. Then go to the top right and draw a second line down. Finally, draw 2 horizontal lines from left to right, from the middle of the first stroke and from the bottom of the first stroke, like this. Practice writing this on your own a few times. This letter is pronounced similar to a P or a B in English, but it's not a hard P sound like in the word park, and it's not a hard B sound like in the word ball. It's between P and B, and is a bit softer. We can combine this consonant with our vowel ah and hear it sound directly. Pa. Pa. And once more. Pa. Here's another consonant. To draw it, start at the top and draw a slightly curved line going down and sideways to the left. Start again from the top, and this time draw a similar line to the right. Practice writing this on your own a few times. This letter is similar to S, such as in the word snake in English. If we combine it with our vowel ah, we can hear that this letter would become sa, sa. And one more time, sa. Here's our next letter, another consonant. To draw it, Make a horizontal line from left to right. Then draw a slightly curved line going down and sideways to the left, just as we did with our last letter. Draw another similar line to the right. Practice writing this on your own a few times. This letter is similar to a CH or a J sound in English, but it's not a hard CH sound like in the word cherry, and it's not a hard J sound like in the word job. It's between CH and J, and is a bit softer. We can combine this consonant with our vowel ah and hear it sound directly. Cha. Cha. And once more. Cha. Here's our last consonant for this part. First, draw a short line from the top going down. Then draw a horizontal line from left to right. Finally, draw a circle underneath the horizontal line, starting from the top and going counterclockwise. Practice writing this on your own a few times. This letter is similar to H, such as in the word hand in English. If we combine it with our vowel ah, we can hear that this letter would become ha. Ha. And one more time. Ha. Here's our second vowel. To draw it, start at the top and draw a line down. Then draw a second, longer horizontal line from the left to the right. Practice writing this on your own a few times. This letter is pronounced o, such as in the word old in English. Last time we learned how we can use this kind of block with our vowel ah to put our letters together and form a syllable. Let's first use this same block again, and the same vowel ah, and practice the letters that we've learned in this part. Try reading the following syllables on your own. You can pause the video here. Here are the answers. Ma, pa, sa, cha, ha. But this kind of block is only used when the vowel is vertical. So far we've learned ah and o, and of these two, only ah is a vertical vowel since it goes up and down. In order to use our new vowel, o, we'll need to use a different block that's for horizontal vowels. Here's that block. Remember that C stands for consonant and V stands for vowel. So let's do a bit more practice. Here are all of the consonants that we've learned so far, along with the vowel o, using our new syllable block. Try reading the following syllables on your own. You can pause the video here. Here are the answers. Ko, do, to, mo, po, so, cho, ho. Practice these sounds on your own, writing each letter individually, writing them together, and then sounding them out. Remember that the key to learning Hangul quickly is practicing it as much as possible. In the next lesson, we'll learn a few more letters as well as some new block types that we can use. And I upload new videos to this channel every week, so click subscribe and follow along. 그럼 다음에 또 봐! 안녕! Welcome to the third lesson in this series. In the last part, we learned 5 additional consonants and 1 more vowel, as well as another syllable block. In this video, we'll learn 2 more consonants and 2 new syllable blocks. We'll also do some additional practice using everything that we've learned so far. So let's get started. Here's our first letter, which is a consonant. To draw it, start at the top left and draw a line to the right and then down. Next, draw the second horizontal line below that, starting from the left and going to the right. Finally, draw the third line from the start of the second line, going down, then to the right. Although it might seem easier to just draw this letter like a backwards S, doing so can make the letter look unbalanced. It's best to draw this in 3 strokes instead of 1. Practice writing this on your own a few times. This letter sounds like it's between an L and an R in English. However, it's neither an L or an R. Instead, to pronounce this letter, position your tongue as if you were going to say a D sound, such as in the word dog, but make an L sound instead. If we combine it with our vowel ah from before, we can hear that the sound would become la, la. And one more time, la. Notice that it's not law, and it's definitely not raw. Since it's pronounced using a different tongue position, you can hear how it's a softer sound. Here's our next consonant. It's simple to draw. Make a circle starting from the top and going counterclockwise. Practice writing this on your own a few times. This letter has two uses. First, this letter can be used at the beginning of a syllable to give an empty sound. Remember that in order to make a sound or a syllable in Korean, we'll need at least one consonant and one vowel together. So far, we've learned a few consonants that we can use with the vowels ah and o, but we haven't yet learned how to make the sounds ah and o on their own. We can use this new letter in place of another consonant to hear the vowel by itself. Here are two examples using our two vowels. Here we have the syllables ah and o. Since this new consonant doesn't have any sound when it's used at the beginning of a syllable, we can use it instead of another consonant to hear the vowel sound directly. In this way, it acts like an empty consonant. But this letter has two uses, and its second use is at the end of a syllable. But in order to use this consonant at the end of a syllable, we'll first need to learn a new kind of syllable block. So far, we've only learned two syllable blocks, one for horizontal vowels and one for vertical vowels. But these two syllable blocks that we've learned only allow us to use two letters in each one. In addition, these two syllable blocks only allow us to use a vowel at the end of them. So in order to use a consonant at the end of a syllable, we'll need to learn a new kind of syllable block that allows us to use 3 letters instead of 2. Here are the 2 new syllable blocks that we'll need. We can use these syllable blocks, which each use 2 consonants and 1 vowel, to create syllables that have 3 letters in them. The left syllable block can be used with vertical vowels just like before, and the right syllable block can be used with horizontal vowels. Here are a few practice examples using these 2 new syllable blocks. You can pause the video here. Here are the answers. 감, 돌, 산, 납, 살, 손, 단, 홀, 잔, 볼. Remember that the type of syllable block depends on the type of vowel that you're using in it and how many letters are in the syllable. Now let's go back to our new consonant and talk about its second usage. When this consonant is used at the end of a syllable, its sound is similar to ng in English, such as in the word song. Let's take a look at a few examples. Try reading them yourself first. You can pause the video here. Here are the answers. 몽, 방, 상, 당, 항, 종, 랑. So at the start of a syllable, this consonant has an empty sound, and at the end of a syllable, it has the sound of ng. Here are a few more examples that you can read for practice. You can pause the video here. And here are the answers. 알, 옴, 안, 봉, 앞, 홍, 올. So let's take everything together that we've learned so far, all of our consonants, both of our vowels, and our 4 syllable blocks, and do some practice. Try reading the following syllables on your own. You can pause the video here. Here are the answers. 아, 오, 라, 로, 알, 올, 람, 롬, 잔, 상, 송, 돈, 몸, 놀, 낙, 손, 답, 족, 앙, 옹. Practice these 2 new letters on your own, writing each one individually, writing them in your own syllables, and then sounding them out. Remember that the key to learning Hangul quickly is practicing it as much as possible. Thanks for watching, and in the next lesson we'll learn several new vowels that we'll need to know. And I upload new videos to this channel every week, so click subscribe and follow along. 그럼 다음에 또 봐! 안녕! Welcome to the 4th lesson in this series. In the last part, we learned 2 more consonants and 2 more syllable blocks, and how to make syllables with 3 letters in them. In this video, we'll learn 4 new vowels. We'll also do some additional practice using everything that we've learned so far. So let's get started. Here's our first new vowel. To draw it, make a short horizontal line from the left to the right. Then draw a longer vertical line from the top to the bottom, which touches the right end of the first line. Practice writing this on your own a few times. To hear what this vowel sounds like, let's use our empty consonant that we previously learned. Now we can hear that this vowel has the sound aw. You can think of this aw sound as being similar to the one you'd hear in the beginning of the word up in English. Aw. Many first-time learners confuse this sound, aw, with the other vowel, o. These 2 vowels can sound similar at first, but practicing them often will help you to tell them apart. Let's hear these 2 sounds again. O, aw. And again, o, aw. And one more time. O, aw. Here's our next vowel. To draw it, make a horizontal line from the left to the right. Then draw a second vertical line, starting from the middle of the first line and going down. Practice writing this on your own a few times. This vowel is pronounced oo, like the oo sound in the English word glue. Let's hear it a few more times. Oo, oo. And one more time. Ooh. Here's our next vowel. To draw it, make a single horizontal line from the left to the right. Practice writing this on your own a few times. This vowel is pronounced like the sound in the word good. Let's hear it a few more times. And one more time. Here's our last vowel. To draw it, make a vertical line from the top to the bottom. Practice writing this on your own a few times. This vowel is pronounced E, like the E sound in the word tree. Let's hear it a few more times. E. E. And one more time. E. However, there's one more thing we need to learn about this vowel. When this vowel is combined with this consonant, something different happens. First, here are a few examples of that consonant. Sa, so, saw, su, s. However, if we combine this consonant with the vowel E, we get a different result. She. Whenever this consonant is used with the vowel E, it becomes she and not si. We'll practice this a bit more soon. So by now we've covered a total of 10 consonants and 6 vowels. We've also learned 4 syllable blocks. So let's put everything together that we've learned so far and do some practice. Try reading these syllables on your own. You can pause the video here. Here are the answers. 고, 거, 도, 더, 볼, 번, 우, 군, 물, 버, 저, 흔, 빌, 밈, 선, 눈, 실, 심, 식, 십. Practice these letters on your own, writing each one individually, writing them in your own syllables, and then sounding them out. Remember that the key to learning Hangul quickly is practicing it as much as possible. Thanks for watching, and in the next lesson, we'll learn a few more vowels. And I upload new videos to this channel every week, so click subscribe and follow along. 그럼 다음에 또 봐! 안녕! Welcome to the 5th lesson in this series. In the last part, we learned 4 new vowels. In this video, we'll learn another 4 vowels. We'll also do some more practice using everything that we've learned so far. So let's get started. Here's our first new vowel. To draw it, make a short horizontal line from the left to the right. Then draw a longer vertical line from the top to the bottom that touches the right side of the first line. Then draw a second vertical line from the top to the bottom. Practice writing this on your own a few times. To hear what this vowel sounds like, let's use our empty consonant that we previously learned. Now we can hear that this vowel has the sound e. You can think of this e sound as being similar to the one you'd hear in the word egg. Let's hear it a few more times. E. E. And one more time. E. Here's our next vowel. To draw it, make a vertical line from the top to the bottom. Then draw a short horizontal line from left to right, touching the middle of the first vertical line. Finally, draw another vertical line from the top to the bottom, touching the right side of the short horizontal line. Practice writing this on your own a few times. This vowel is also pronounced e, like the e sound in the word egg. Let's hear it a few more times. E. E. And one more time. E. So you might be thinking, how do you tell the difference between the vowel we just learned, e, and this new one, e? Fortunately, although originally there is a slight difference between the two in how they're pronounced, these days it's fine to simply pronounce them both the exact same way, e. Here's our next vowel. To draw it, make a vertical line going from the top to the bottom. Then draw a short horizontal line from about a third of the way down the first line and to the right. Finally, draw another short horizontal line from left to right, this time from 2/3 of the way down the first line. Practice writing this on your own a few times. This vowel is pronounced ya, like the ya sound in the word yawn. Let's hear it a few more times. Ya. Ya. And one more time. Ya. Here's our last vowel. To draw it, make a short vertical line from the top to the bottom. Draw another short vertical line to the right of the first, also from the top to the bottom. Then draw a longer horizontal line that connects with the bottoms of the 2 vertical lines. It should look like a ya turned on its back. Practice writing this on your own a few times. This vowel is pronounced yo, like the yo sound in the phrase, check it out, yo? Let's hear it a few more times. Yo. Yo. And one more time. Yo. There's one more thing we need to cover about 2 of our 4 new vowels. These vowels, ya and yo, when combined with this letter we previously learned, will also create the sh sound that we saw with the vowel e. Here are a few examples. Shi, sha, sho. But this reason isn't random. It's because the vowel ya is actually a combination of the vowel sound e and the vowel ah. If you say e and ah quickly, it sounds like ya. The same goes for yo. Yo is actually a combination of the vowel e and o. When said quickly, yo becomes yo. So by now we've covered a total of 10 consonants and 10 vowels. We've also learned 4 syllable blocks. So let's put everything together that we've learned and do some practice. Try reading these syllables on your own. You can pause the video here. Here are the answers. Ek, el, shap, kyo, heng, nyam, yok, pe, se, myo, chel, me, hyo, kya, nep, ke, chia, yo, men, ke. Practice these letters on your own, writing each one individually, writing them in your own syllables, and then sounding them out. Remember that the key to learning Hangul quickly is practicing it as much as possible. Thanks for watching. And in the next lesson, we'll learn a few more vowels. And I upload new videos to this channel every week, so click subscribe and follow along. 그럼 다음에 또 봐. Annyeong! Welcome to the 6th lesson in this series. In the last part, we learned 4 new vowels. In this video, we'll learn 4 more vowels. These will be the very last new vowels that we'll need to learn. We'll also do some more practice using everything that we've learned so far. So let's get started. Here's our first new vowel. To draw it, make 2 short horizontal lines, from the left to the right. These 2 lines will touch the next line that we're about to draw, at 1/3 of the way down and 2/3 of the way down. Then draw a vertical line to the right of those. Practice writing this on your own a few times. To hear what this vowel sounds like, let's use our empty consonant that we previously learned. Now we can hear that this vowel has the sound yaw. You can think of this sound as a combination of the vowel e with the vowel aw. Said quickly, yaw would become yaw. Let's hear it a few more times. Yaw, yaw. And one more time. Yaw. Here's our next vowel. To draw it, make a horizontal line from the left to the right. Then draw 2 short vertical lines from 1/3 of the way down the first line and 2/3 of the way down the first line, going from the top to the bottom. Practice writing this on your own a few times. To hear what this vowel sounds like, let's use our empty consonant that we previously learned. Now we can hear that this vowel has the sound u. You can think of this sound as a combination of the vowel e with the vowel u. Said quickly, eu would become you. Let's hear it a few more times. You, you. And one more time. You. Here's our next vowel. To draw it, first draw the letter yaw as we learned, but then add 1 more vertical line to the right of it, going from the top to the bottom. Practice writing this on your own a few times. To hear what this vowel sounds like, let's use our empty consonant again. Now we can hear that this vowel has the sound yeah. You can think of this sound as a combination of the vowel e with the vowel e. Said quickly, yeah would become yeah. Let's hear it a few more times. Yeah. yeah. And one more time, yeah. Here's our last vowel. To draw it, first draw a vertical line from top to bottom. Then draw two short horizontal lines from 1/3 of the way down the first line and 2/3 of the way down to the right. Then draw a second vertical line touching the ends of the two short horizontal lines. Practice writing this on your own a few times. To hear what this vowel sounds like, let's use our empty consonant. Now we can hear that this vowel has the sound yeah. You can think of this sound as a combination of the vowel E with the vowel E. Said quickly, ie would become yeah. Let's hear it a few more times. Yeah. Yeah. And one more time. Yeah. And just like how we learned the vowels e and e can be pronounced the same way, the same applies here. You can pronounce both of the vowels ye and ye in the same way. Let's go back to one of the letters we previously learned. We learned that this letter can be used as an empty consonant. For example, we can use it with the vowel in order to hear the vowel directly, like this. Ah. But because this letter can be used as an empty sound, that means something else too, that other sounds can flow through it. Here's an example. This word, han-gul, means a Korean person. But if you're going to say this word to a Korean, you probably don't want to say it one letter at a time, han-gul. Here is where the empty letter is useful. Because there's an empty letter at the beginning of the sound in, whatever letter before it can flow through it as if it were connected. Here, the sound guk comes before in, so we can combine it to sound like this. han-gul. Note that this only affects how a word is pronounced, not how it's written. So because of the empty consonant, we're now able to say this word a lot faster than we could before. han-gul. This is one of the most common rules for reading Korean. Let's take a look at a few more examples of this rule. Try to read these words on your own. You can pause the video here. Here are the answers. 백인, 사람이, 발음, 한국어, 영어, 미국인. So by now we've covered a total of 10 consonants and 14 vowels, and we've also learned 4 syllable blocks. So let's put together everything that we've learned and do some practice. Try reading these syllables on your own. You can pause the video here. Here are the answers. 여, 유, 예, 예, 역, 윤, 개, 개, 겨, 뷰, 옙, 옘, 안녕하세요. Practice these letters on your own, writing each one individually, writing them in your own syllables, and then sounding them out. Remember that the key to learning Hangul quickly is practicing it as much as possible. Thanks for watching, and in the next lesson, we'll learn a new syllable block, as well as a new type of consonant. And I upload new videos to this channel every week, so click subscribe and follow along. 그럼 다음에 또 봐! 안녕! Welcome to the 7th lesson in this series. In the last part, we learned 4 new vowels, which were the last 4 vowels that we'll need to learn. In this video, we'll learn about 2 new types of syllable blocks. We'll also do some more practice using everything that we've learned so far. So let's get started. First, let's take a look at the other previous syllable blocks that we've learned. We've learned a total of 4 syllable blocks, 2 blocks for making syllables that have 2 letters in them, and 2 blocks for making syllables that have 3 letters in them. In this lesson, we'll learn 2 more syllable blocks that we can use to make syllables that have 4 letters in them. Here's the first one. This syllable block can be used for making syllables using 4 letters. Specifically, this block is used with a vertical vowel. Let's take a look at a quick example. 앉아주세요. This phrase means, please sit down. You'll notice that the very first syllable has 4 letters in it. Remember from the last lesson where we learned about blending syllables using the empty consonant. When using a 4-letter syllable, if the next syllable starts with the empty consonant, you'll blend the sound of the very last letter at the bottom of the syllable into the next syllable. So here in this example, the very last letter at the bottom of our 4-letter syllable will blend into the next syllable. Here, ah, becoming 자. So you could read this sentence like this. 앉아주세요. Remember that this only changes how a word is pronounced and not how it's written. However, if we want to use a horizontal vowel, we'll need a different 4-letter syllable block. Here's that second block. This block also uses 4 letters and can be used when you have a horizontal vowel. Here's a quick example. 등을 긁어요. This sentence means I scratch my back. Here, the first syllable in 긁어요 is a 4-letter syllable, and this syllable uses the horizontal vowel and 2 syllables at the bottom. So we know that sounds travel through the empty consonant, and this is important to know, especially for 4-letter syllables. Let's take a look at a few more examples of 4-letter syllables and sounds that flow through the empty consonant. Try reading these examples on your own. You can pause the video here. Here are the answers. 어제 읽은 서류. This means the documents I read yesterday. 밝은 날. This means bright day. 값이 좋아요. This means the price is good. 흙을 먹어요. And this means I eat dirt. In all 4 of those examples, the empty consonant was used after the 4-letter syllable. But what about when a 4-letter syllable is not followed by an empty consonant? Normally, if a 4-letter syllable is followed by an empty consonant, it's simple to read. Here's another example. How would you read this? Take a moment and pause the video if you'd like. Here's how to read it. 삶이. But what if this same 4-letter syllable was not followed by an empty consonant? What if it were just written like this? How would you read it? Actually, we haven't yet learned how to read this, so let's cover that right now. I should let you know that it's very common to find this consonant, called 릴, together with another consonant at the bottom of 4-letter syllables. Here are 2 examples. Most of the time, whenever you see a syllable with a 릴 at the bottom together with another consonant, the 릴 will not be pronounced. So for the first one, the 릴 will not be pronounced, and you can simply read this syllable as 삼. And for the second one, you can simply read it as 흙. This doesn't apply all of the time, but it does most of the time. A very common exception to this rule is the word for 8, which is pronounced the opposite way as 여덟. Remember that this only applies when there is no empty consonant after a 4-letter syllable that has a 릴 at the bottom. And there are also other combinations of 2 consonants that might appear at the bottom of a 4-letter syllable besides ones containing a 릴, and we'll talk about those in a future episode. So by now we've covered a total of 10 consonants and 14 vowels. We've also learned 6 syllable blocks. So let's put everything together that we've learned and do some quick practice. Try reading these examples on your own. You can pause the video here. Here are the answers. 옮기다, 앉아요. 저는 미국인이에요. 삶, 흙, 밟아요. Practice making your own 4-letter syllables and reading them to yourself. Remember that the key to learning Hangul quickly is practicing it as much as possible. Thanks for watching, and in the next lesson, we'll learn about double consonants. And I upload new videos to this channel every week, so click subscribe and follow along. 그럼 다음에 또 봐! 안녕! Welcome to the 8th lesson in this series. In the last part, we learned the last 2 syllable blocks that we'll need to know, making a total of 6 syllable blocks. In this video, we'll learn about a new type of letter called double consonants. These double consonants are easy to learn, but will take a bit of practice to be able to pronounce and recognize them. Let's get started. These are the 5 double consonants in Hangul, and we'll cover all of them in this episode. But before we cover each one, let's take a look at them. Notice how all 5 of these double consonants are simply the same letters we previously learned, written twice. Here are their normal versions. Drawing a double consonant is almost the exact same as drawing a regular consonant. Just draw the regular letter twice, using the same amount of space as if it were one letter. Here's an example with the first letter. To draw it, draw the letter once, and then draw it again to the right. And make sure to draw them a bit thinner than their regular versions so they don't take up too much space. The same thing applies to the other 4 double consonants, so we won't cover how to draw those again. First, let's look at a few examples, and then we'll talk about how to pronounce it. Ga, dal, bang, shi, jum. These 5 double consonants are pronounced in mostly the same way as their single versions. However, these are spoken by slightly tensing your mouth before you say them. Let's take a look at 2 examples. Ka and ga. The first one, ka, is pronounced normally as we've already learned. The second one is pronounced by slightly tensing your voice before saying the consonant. It's not difficult to tense your voice, but it does take some practice. Take a short, quick pause before pronouncing a double consonant. If you do that, it will naturally make the sound tensed. So for the second one, take a short, quick pause before saying it, almost like you're breathing in and waiting. It will sound like this. Ga. It might also help to practice by pronouncing double consonants that are in the middle of a word instead of at the beginning. So instead of practicing by saying ga over and over, practice by adding another sound before ga or before any double consonant. So instead of practicing ga, you could add the sound ah before it and practice pronouncing ah-ga. To say it, you'll say ah, then take a quick pause, tensing your mouth, followed by ga, ah-ga. And one more time, ah-ga. And here's what it would sound like if it were a normal consonant. Aga. Aga. The same applies to the other 4 double consonants. Here are a few more examples of normal consonants and double consonants. Ta, da, pa, ba, sa, sa, cha, ja. And here's another tip for distinguishing between regular consonants and double consonants. Take a piece of paper and hold it up to your mouth. When you say a regular consonant, the piece of paper should move a little bit as the air from your mouth hits it. However, when saying a double consonant, because your voice is tensed and the air comes out differently, the piece of paper shouldn't move noticeably at all. You can use this method to check if you're saying the sounds correctly and to help you practice. And you might be wondering, why is it important to distinguish regular consonants and double consonants if they sound so similar to each other? Well, to a Korean ear, these sounds are quite different, and using the wrong sound can change the meaning of a word. For example, gi means energy or power, while gi means a meal. Tal means the moon, but dal means daughter. Pang means a room, but bang means bread. Sal means flesh, but sal means uncooked rice. And chada means to sleep, but jada means to be salty. Let's do some practice with these 5 new double consonants. Try reading these examples on your own. You can pause the video here. Here are the answers. 곰, 땅, 빙, 쓸, 짐, 보, 시, 뜸, 전, 근, 디, 서, 뼈, 주, 고, 삼, 분, 지, 공, 수. After this lesson, practice by making your own syllables using double consonants. With practice, you'll be able to easily pronounce and recognize double consonants from normal consonants. Remember that the key to learning Hangul quickly is practicing it as much as possible. Thanks for watching, and in the next lesson, we'll learn about a new type of consonant, strong consonants. We'll also do some more practice using everything that we've learned so far. And I upload new videos to this channel every week, so click subscribe and follow along. 그럼 다음에 또 봐! 안녕! Welcome to the 9th lesson in this series. In the last part, we learned about double consonants. In this video, we'll learn about a new type of letter called strong consonants. Strong consonants, like double consonants, will take a bit of practice to be able to pronounce and recognize them. So let's get started. There are 4 strong consonants that we'll need to learn. Let's take a look at the first one. Here's how to draw it. First, draw a single horizontal line from the left to the right, which curves down vertically. Then draw a second horizontal line that touches the middle of the vertical part of the first line. This one is pronounced almost the same way as the very first consonant that we learned. In order to compare these two sounds, let's first add the empty consonant in front of them. Now we have ka and ka. A strong consonant is simply a stronger version of a regular consonant that we've already learned. Here are the 4 regular consonants that have strong consonants in this video. Strong consonants are pronounced in the same way as their normal versions, but with more force. For this consonant, imagine saying ka, but putting more force. By doing so, we'd be making a K sound. So instead of the normal consonant, ka, we'd get the strong consonant, ka. We'll do some more practice to help show the difference between regular consonants, double consonants, and strong consonants later in this video. But first, let's finish covering the rest of them. Here's the second strong consonant. To draw it, first make a horizontal line from left to right. Then draw a second horizontal line parallel to the first. Then draw a third line, starting from the left of the first line, going down and then to the right, parallel to the first 2 lines. Let's use the empty consonant to hear the sound of this one. Ta. Ta. Instead of the normal consonant, which would be ta, with the strong consonant we get ta. It's much more of a T sound in English than the normal consonant is. Here's the third strong consonant. To draw it, make a horizontal line from left to right. Then draw 2 vertical lines from top to bottom that touch the first one. Then draw a 4th line horizontally that touches the bottom of the second and third lines. Let's use the empty consonant again to hear its sound. Pa. Pa. Instead of the normal consonant, which would be pa, with the strong consonant we get pa. It's much more of a P sound in English than the normal consonant is. Here's the 4th and final strong consonant. To draw it, make a short line going down. Then draw a horizontal line from left to right. Then draw 2 more slightly curved lines from the center of the second line, one going to the left and one going to the right. Let's use the empty consonant again to hear its sound. Ta. Ta. Instead of the normal consonant, which would be ta, with the strong consonant we get cha. It's much more of a CH sound in English than the normal consonant is. In the last episode, we learned that we can tell the difference between a double consonant and a regular consonant by using a piece of paper. We can do the same with strong consonants. While regular consonants might move the piece of paper a little bit, and double consonants will not noticeably move the paper at all, strong consonants will cause the paper to shake. Try it for yourself. If you want, you can even use tissue paper instead to see the differences more clearly. Here's an example of the 3 types of sounds. Ka, ga, ka. While these 3 sound similar, it's important to be able to hear the differences, because in Korean, words can have different meanings when they use regular consonants, double consonants, and strong consonants. For example, the word 불 means fire. However, 불 means horns, and 불 can mean grass or glue. Native Korean speakers can easily hear the differences between these sounds simply because they're used to hearing them on a regular basis. And with practice, so can you. Let's take a look at a few more examples. Practice reading these syllables on your own. You can pause the video here. Here are the answers. Ki, 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 ta, 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 pa, 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 cha, 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 ko, 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 도, 또, 토, 보, 뽀, 포, 조, 조, 초. If you're able to tell the differences right away, great. If not, that's normal too. You'll only get better with practice. Let's do some more practice with strong consonants. Try reading these examples on your own. You can pause the video here. Here are the answers. king, 필, 키, 폰, 칩, 치, 탕, 킨, 피, 토, 품, 참, 틀, 코, 큐, 친, 표, 캬, 텐, 초. After this lesson, practice by making your own syllables using strong consonants. With practice, you'll be able to easily pronounce and recognize strong consonants from double consonants and normal consonants. Remember that the key to learning Hangul quickly is practicing it as much as possible. And thanks for watching. In the next lesson, we'll learn about diphthongs. We'll also do some more practice using everything that we've learned so far. And remember that I upload new videos to this channel every week, so click subscribe and follow along. 그럼 다음에 또 봐! 안녕! Welcome to the 10th lesson in this series. In the last part, we learned about strong consonants. In this video, we'll learn about a new type of vowel called diphthongs. Diphthongs are vowels, but fortunately, we don't have to learn anything new. Diphthongs are simply a combination of two vowels into one. For example, take the vowel sounds o and a. Currently, we can make sounds like these: ko, ka, po, pa. However, what if we combine the vowel sounds o and a together? To combine them, try simply saying them quickly. O-a, o-a, wa. We'd get wa. The diphthong for wa would look like this. You can see that it's simply the two vowels combined together into one. This is what a diphthong is, and there are 7 of them to learn. They're all drawn in the same order. First, draw the first vowel on the left. Then draw the vowel on the right. Let's look at each one individually. This one is a combination of the sounds and e. Ui, ui. It's pronounced ui, ui. However, this diphthong is an exception. If you write this diphthong using the empty consonant, you can say it as ui. But if you use any other consonant there, this diphthong is more often simply pronounced as e. This makes it a lot easier to pronounce when speaking Korean. Here's an example. He, he. This one is a combination of the sounds u and o. U-o, u-o. It's pronounced wo, wo. This one is a combination of the sounds u and e. Ui, ui. It's pronounced we, we. Oui, oui, ha ha ha. 5 years of French class and I can't even introduce myself. This one is a combination of the sounds u and e. U-e, ue. It's pronounced ue, ue. This one is a combination of the sounds o and a as we learned. O-a, o-a. It's pronounced wa, wa. This one is a combination of the sounds o and e. Oe, oe. It's pronounced we, we. Although this one looks like a combination of the sounds o and e, it's actually a combination of the sounds o and e. Oe, oe. It's pronounced as we, we. You can pronounce this diphthong and the previous diphthong in the same way. Get it? In the same way. The way that these diphthongs work is simple, but they'll still take practice to be able to recognize them quickly. Let's do some practice with these diphthongs. Try reading these examples on your own. You can pause the video here. Here are the answers. Ui, wa, wo, we, we, shi, pa, tuo, lui, que, hin, quan, quong, tui, sue, hue. Congratulations! We've now covered all of the consonants and vowels that are in Hangul. After this lesson, practice by making your own syllables using diphthongs. And remember that the key to learning Hangul quickly is practicing it as much as possible. Thanks for watching. In the next lesson, we'll learn about sound change rules. We'll also do some more practice using everything that we've learned so far. And I upload new videos to this channel every week, so click subscribe and follow along. 그럼 다음에 또 봐! Annyeong! Welcome to the 11th lesson in this series. In the last part, we learned about diphthongs. In this episode, we'll learn a bit about sound change rules. We'll also cover the names of all of the letters. First of all, you might be wondering, what are sound change rules? Sound change rules in Korean help us to be able to know how to pronounce words when they would otherwise be too difficult to say. Let's take a look at an example. This is the Korean word for day, but how can we pronounce it? These are the 3 letters used in it. There's 2 consonants and a vowel, which we've already learned. But what do we do when there's a consonant at the bottom, such as in this one? We know how to pronounce the letter at the bottom itself, but not when it's used at the end of a syllable. We couldn't just pronounce it as 나지, because that'd be adding an extra vowel sound, Instead, we'll need to know what the sound change rule is for using that letter at the end of a syllable in order to be able to pronounce it easily. This word is actually pronounced as not. And here's our first sound change rule, which explains how to do that. First, we'll need to know about bottom consonants. A bottom consonant is any consonant that appears at the bottom of a syllable. So the example that we just saw with not has 1 bottom consonant. However, before we go further, remember how we learned about the empty consonant. If we were to add another sound after this word, such as e, not would become a bit different. This word would simply be 나지, because the bottom consonant of the first syllable could flow through the empty consonant, just as we've already learned. We'll only need to use this first sound change rule when the syllable is not followed by the empty consonant. Whenever one of these 7 consonants appears at the end of a syllable, and the syllable isn't followed by an empty consonant, it will instead be pronounced as this letter, which is called a diphthong. You can pause the video here and write these down. It might seem like a lot of memorization, but these are the only consonants that would cause confusion, such as in our not example. Other consonants wouldn't even make you question how to pronounce them at the end of the word. So if one of these consonants appears at the end of a syllable, pronounce it as if it were a diphthong. Pretty simple, right? Here are a few examples. Practice reading these on your own. You can pause the video here. Here are the answers. 갓, not, 못, 밭, eat, 맛. And here's our next sound change rule. When used at the end of a consonant, these 2 consonants become pronounced as their normal versions instead. So this word will become 부엌, and this word would become 앞. After all, it would be pretty difficult to say a strong consonant at the end of a syllable anyway, so this rule makes a lot of sense too. So now we've learned 2 of the most basic and important sound change rules. But before we go any further, let's go over the names of all of the letters of the alphabet, as I'll be referring to them by their name from now on to speed things up. You can pause the video and write these down. There's a format for these names that almost all of them follow. Simply take the consonant, attach the vowel e, then attach and finally attach the consonant again at the bottom of that. For example, to say the name of this consonant, attach e, then attach and finally attach the consonant again. This would become nian. There are 3 exceptions to this, which I've highlighted in the list. Let's say the names of each of the consonants. 기역, 니은, 디귿, 리을, 미음, 비읍, 시옷, 이응, 지읒, 치읓, 키읔, 티읕, 피읕, 히읗. And the names of the vowels are simple. Just add the empty consonant before the vowel and pronounce that. So a would be this vowel, and wo would be this diphthong. Let's go back to the lesson and learn one more essential sound change rule. This is an easy rule. If any of these 4 consonants appear at the end of a syllable, they're just pronounced as normal. Can I really call this a sound change rule? Anyway, here are some examples. You can pause the video here. Here are the answers. 감, 온, 방, 말. I want to remind you again that these rules are for when the syllables are not followed by the empty consonant. And also remember that the key to learning Hangul quickly is practicing it as much as possible. Thanks for watching. In the next lesson, we'll learn about some more common sound change rules. We'll also do some more practice using everything that we've learned so far. And I upload new videos to this channel every week, so click subscribe and follow along. 그럼 다음에 또 봐! 안녕! Welcome to the 12th lesson in the series. In the last part, we learned about the most basic sound change rules, and also learned the names of each of the letters. In this episode, we'll learn a few more common sound change rules. While sound change rules aren't very difficult in themselves, and there aren't too many of them, they will take practice before you'll be able to use them naturally. Sound change rules exist to help make Korean easier to pronounce, so they're a good thing. In order to help us learn some more sound change rules, I'm going to teach you a special trick that I know. Look at these 5 consonants. These are what's known as base consonants, or at least I call them that. These 5 consonants are important because if you know them, it can help you learn the rest of our sound change rules a lot more quickly. Most sound change rules revolve around these 5 consonants. I'll show you what I mean. Here's our first new sound change rule. Whenever you have a consonant, specifically a base consonant, a double consonant, or a strong consonant, that's followed by a base consonant, the second base consonant will become pronounced like a double consonant. Okay, that sounds a bit difficult, but it's simple how it works. For example, take a look at this word. 학교. This word means school. Actually, before even worrying about this rule, try to pronounce it yourself. 학, and then 교. 학교. 학교. Instead of saying just 학교, you're actually saying 학교. Naturally, just by saying 학교, you're already saying this sound change rule. The first syllable, hak, ends with a base consonant, 기역, and the next syllable begins with a base consonant, also 기역. This is what this sound change rule is. A lot of the time, just saying the word normally, you'll automatically be following this rule. So once more, whenever you have a base consonant, a double consonant, or a strong consonant that's followed by another syllable that starts with a base consonant, that second base consonant becomes pronounced as a double consonant. Here are a few more examples. You can pause the video here. Here are the answers. 먹자, 봤다, 옷방, 돕다, 맞다, 샀지, 찾다, 박사, 낯설다, 식당. This is probably the most common sound change rule in Korean, and you'll hear it every day. Let's go over our next sound change rule. This rule is specifically for the letter hyet. Whenever it comes before or after a base consonant, it changes the base consonant into a strong consonant. So for example, take the word 좋다, which is a verb that means to be good. There's a hyet at the bottom of the first syllable, and it's followed by a 디귿. So the 디귿 changes into a 티읕. This becomes pronounced as 좋다. For another example, take the word 박하, which means peppermint. The first syllable ends in the base consonant, 기역, and is followed by a hyet, so it becomes a ki역. This becomes pronounced as 박하. Here are a few more examples. You can pause the video here. And here are the answers. 착하다, 백호, 북한, 익숙하다, 밝히다, 괜찮다, 악하다, 못하다. For the last one, 못하다, remember the very first sound change rule that we learned. At the end of a syllable, if one of the 7 consonants isn't followed by the empty consonant, it becomes pronounced as a digat. So this syllable is pronounced as 못, making the entire word 못하다, 못하다. This one you can simply memorize separately for now. Here's one more sound change rule. There are 3 rules in one. First, whenever you have a tiat before the sound e, that e sound becomes pronounced as chi instead of t. For example, this word would be pronounced as 같이 and not 같이. Second, whenever you have a digat before the sound he, the he sound becomes pronounced as chi. For example, this word would be pronounced as 같이다 and not 같이다. And third, whenever you have a digat before the sound e, the e sound becomes pronounced as ji. For example, this word would be pronounced as 마지 and not 마디. You might be thinking first that this rule seems a bit strange. Actually, this rule is similar to one that we have when speaking American English, and it exists to help you pronounce words more fluidly. For example, the English word train is actually pronounced with a ch sound, although it's spelled with tr. We can think of the sound change rule in Korean also like we're changing the hard t sound to an easier ch sound. And the same thing applies to the jiat. We say the word drain with a j sound instead of drain, which would sound a bit odd. Korean also changes the digat sound to an easier j sound. Here are a few examples. You can pause the video here. And here are the answers. 붙이다, 굳이, 마지, 마타. The fourth one is just mata. I was trying to trick you. Sorry. Now there aren't too many words that will use this sound change rule, but these are some of the more common ones. However, this sound change rule not only works with the sounds e and he, it also works with the sounds 여 and hyo, because the sounds 여 and hyo originally come from e and he. 여 is just a combination of the sound e and o, and hyo is just a combination of the sound he and o. Here are 2 examples. Try to read them on your own. You can pause the video here. Here are the answers. 붙여요, 갇혀요. Again, there aren't many words that use this sound change rule, so I'd recommend just focusing on the examples given in this video for now. And that's all for this video. Remember that the key to learning Hangul quickly is practicing it as much as possible. Thanks for watching, and in the next lesson, we'll learn a few more common sound change rules, and do some more practice with everything that we've learned so far. And I upload new videos to this channel every week, so click subscribe and follow along. 그럼 다음에 또 봐! 안녕! Welcome to the 13th lesson in this series. In the last part, we learned about sound change rules. In this episode, we'll learn a few more important sound change rules. While it might seem like there are too many sound change rules, they all exist to help make Korean easier to pronounce, so they're actually a good thing. Fortunately, we don't have too many left to learn, so let's jump right in. Here's the next sound change rule we'll need to know. This rule is similar to the first sound change rule that we learned. Whenever you have a lir, that's this consonant, followed by one of our 5 base consonants, the base consonant will usually become a double consonant. For a quick reminder, here are the base consonants. There's only 5 of them. Here's a quick example. In this example, there's a lir at the bottom of the first syllable, hal, and it's followed by a base consonant, a digat, at the beginning of the syllable, tang. So the base consonant, digat, becomes a double consonant, and the word becomes pronounced as 할당. Here are a few more examples. 일자리, 밀당, 할게, 술병, 물가, 일세, 밀가루. However, this rule is actually more of a guideline and less of a rule. There are many exceptions to this, so it's good to simply be aware of the rule rather than always following it. Here are a few common exceptions. 알바, well-being, 얼굴. Let's move on to our next sound change rule. The consonants nian and mium are what's known as nasal consonants because they are pronounced partially using your nose. Try saying these consonants and you'll notice your nose vibrates as you make the sound. So for this rule, whenever you have the consonant biup or the strong consonant piup followed by a nian or a mium, it will become pronounced as a mium. Basically, take one of these first two letters. If it comes before one of these two letters, then the first sound will change to become a mium. Here's a quick example. Here, the syllable hap ends with a piup, and it's followed by a nian in the next syllable. So the piup at the bottom of hap changes into a mium, then we can read it normally as 합니다. Here's some more examples. 잡는, 밥 먹자, 임무, 한 명, 임나무, 갔습니다. Let's go on to our next sound change rule. Whenever you have the consonant 시옷 followed by one of the vowel sounds I, ya, yo, ye, yo, or u, it will become pronounced as sh instead of its usual s sound. For example, this syllable is pronounced she and not si like in English. This looks like a long rule, but just remember that this rule applies whenever you have an e sound somewhere in the vowel after the consonant 시옷. Since these vowel sounds all have an e sound at the start of them, it'll apply in these cases. You can think of the vowel ya as the sound e combined with an a, iya, and the vowel yo as e combined with o, yo, ye as e combined with ye, and so on. But for other vowels such as a, o, and there is no e sound, so it doesn't apply. So here's an example of the consonant 시옷 together with each vowel sound. 시, 샤, 셔, 셰, 셰, 쇼, 슈. Here's our next rule. For this rule, whenever you have a piup that's followed by a lir, the piup will become a mium, and the lir will become a nian. So take a look at this example. Here we have hap, which ends in a piup. The next syllable is li, which starts with a lir. So because of this, the piup at the end of hap will change to become a mium, and the lir at the beginning of li will change to become a nian sound. This changes the hap to a hum sound and the li to a ni sound, and together we get ham-ni. So although it's written as hap-li, when we read it, it will become ham-ni. Here are a few more examples. 심리, 함량, 압력, 함유. Let's go on to our last sound change rule for this episode. This rule is similar to the one we just learned, but for the consonant kiok instead. Whenever you have a kiok that comes before a lir, the kiok will become a iang, and the lir will become a nian. For example, in this word, pek ends with a kiok, and the next syllable, li, starts with a lir. So here, the kiok at the bottom will change to become an iang, and the lir at the start of the next syllable will become a nian. When we make these changes, we get peng and ni, or together, peng ni. Here are a few more examples. 식량, 맥락, 복리, 망요. And that's all for this video. Remember that the key to learning Hangul quickly is practicing it as much as possible. Thanks for watching. And in the next lesson, we'll learn the last few sound change rules that we'll need to know. And I upload new videos to this channel every week, so if you like what you see, click subscribe and follow along. 그럼 다음에 또 봐. 안녕. Welcome to the 14th lesson in this series. In this episode, we'll learn our last remaining sound change rules. We've certainly had to learn several sound change rules, but sound change rules exist for a good reason. They make pronouncing Korean a lot simpler, and once you start learning Korean, they'll become second nature. So let's jump into our lesson and finish learning the last of them. Here's our next sound change rule. Whenever you have the consonant kiok, or its double or strong versions, followed by either of the nasal consonants nian or mium, the kiok, or its double or strong versions, will become pronounced as iung. So for an example, han-gul is the word for the Korean language. Here we have the syllable guk, which ends in the consonant kiok. And the next syllable after that, mal, starts with the consonant mium. So we change the sound of the kiok at the bottom of guk into an iung, and that syllable becomes gung. So together we get han-gung mal, or read quickly, han-gung mal. Here are a few more examples. 멍 마르다, 싱노, 백만, 학년, 복나, 부엌문, 국물. Here's our next rule. Whenever you have a iung or a mium and it's followed by a lil, the lil will become pronounced as a nian. For example, the first syllable, ends in a mium, and the second syllable, ryo, begins with a lil. So in this case, the lil in the syllable ryo will become a nian, and we get the sound myo, myo. Here are a few more examples. 탐나국, 강릉, 장로, 담력, 확률. Here's our next rule. This rule also uses the nasal consonant nian. However, this rule is only useful when no other sound change rule is already being used. Whenever you have a consonant that doesn't apply to any of the other rules, and that comes before a nian, that consonant will become pronounced as a nian. For a quick example, take this word. We previously learned that this is pronounced 합니다 because there's the consonant 비읍 that's followed by a nian. So in this case, since there's already another rule that we can use, we won't need to use this new rule, it's just 합니다. However, take a look at this example. Here we have a chiat at the end of the first syllable, and the next syllable starts with a nian. There isn't already a different rule that we've learned that we can use here with chiat, so we can apply this new rule in order to read it. So for this word, the chiat changes and becomes a nian too, and we get 빛나. This rule makes pronouncing words like this possible. Here's another example. We have the consonant 시옷 at the bottom of the first syllable, followed by a nian. So the 시옷 becomes a nian, and we get the pronunciation of 만나. Here are a few more common examples. 있는, 못난, 놓는, 몇 년, 많이. This rule also applies to not only the consonant nian, but to the other nasal consonant mium as well. However, these don't occur often with a mium, so it's better to simply learn those few exceptions as they come up. Here's our next sound change rule. Whenever you have a nian before a lil, or a lil before a nian, the nian will become pronounced like a lil. For example, here we have a nian at the bottom of the first syllable, hun. The next syllable begins with a lil, so the nian at the bottom of hun changes into a lil, and we get 홀란, 홀란. Here are a few more examples. 말리, 신라, 발로, 1년, 월남. Now let's go to our final sound change rule. Okay, this isn't actually a sound change rule, but I wanted to make one last point and remind you that some words simply won't follow the rules. Some words have irregular pronunciations, and you'll simply have to learn these separately. But don't worry, most of these are so commonly used that you'll end up learning them just by hearing them, and you might not even realize they're irregulars until you compare them to the rules in these video lessons. Here are a few examples of what I mean. 16, 깻잎, 한자. Now, I'm not saying that these words don't follow any rules, but they're not following the typical sound change rules that are covered in these videos. And I also wanted to give you a tip about these rules. If you review all of these sound change rules again, you'll find that most sound change rules have to do with the base consonants, the two nasal consonants nian and mium, and the consonant lil. And that's all for this video. Congratulations! You've now completed all of the letters and major sound change rules in Korean. If you want more, you can check out my book, Korean Made Simple, which you can find on my website and most major book retailers. But my book isn't the only way that you can learn, and there are a lot of good resources out there for learning Korean, some that are free and some that aren't. But no matter what resource you choose, I'd recommend setting some basic goals for learning, plan how much you want to know and by when, and then getting a pen pal or someone who you can practice with. Again, remember that the key to learning Korean quickly is practicing it as much as possible. Thanks for watching, and I upload new videos to this channel every week, so if you like what you see, click subscribe and follow along. 그럼 다음에 또 봐!